Hello everyone, welcome to Southern Wreaths. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Today I'm going to show you how I make this really cute Grinch wreath. These are the supplies I'm going to use to make this wreath. I also use a large hat. So, like I said in my last video, I just moved, so all my stuff is packed up. So I'm just doing this on my dining room table. I'm using my paper cutter to cut this mesh at 10 inches because I couldn't find anything. I just kind of got my camera set up kind of funny. It's got like a vase here on the side that's kind of holding one of the legs. But I wanted to get this one on video because I thought it was a really cool wreath. So I go through and cut 2 packs of 10-inch mesh at 10 inches each. And then I'm going to cut my pipe cleaners in half. You don't have to do this, it just makes it easier when you're attaching them to the wreath. The back of it can get really crowded. And then I'm taking 3 curls and bundling them together. You can see a couple I've made here on the side. And I just roll it up. You kind of want to keep them all about the same size when you're curling them. The beginning part of the mesh is a lot harder to curl than the ending because it's already kind of naturally curling. So that's the part that you kind of have to keep an eye out and make sure you're doing it the same way because you don't want to make some too tight and some too loose. I mean, unless that's the look you're going for. But I'm using my bow dabber to hold the curls. And then I just take the pipe cleaner and use my thumb to bend it in half in the center. I'm going to put that over the crease that was in the bow dabber, and then I pull the mesh up and then I twist. And this makes the curls stand out and it gets a really tight grip with the pipe cleaner. And here I'm going to quickly run through and show you how I do it again. You can see here when I'm curling the mesh, I'm putting my hands on either end instead of just curling from the center, and this keeps the edges uniform. If you do it from the center, it kind of gives you a messier look, which is fine if that's what you're going for. If you don't have a bow dabber to hold your mesh, you can also use a chip clip or a clothespin, or you can even just hold them in your hand. Back and forth trying to figure out which size frame I wanted to use for this base. The 18-inch I felt was too big because my sign completely went into the center and I wanted it to attach to the frame, so I went with this 14-inch. I probably should have ordered a smaller face, but I messed up on that one. But it still all looked good in the end. So I am taking the pipe cleaners and I'm putting them around the frame, the 2 outside rings. And I just take the pipe cleaner and straddle it, put one on each side, and then I'm twisting probably 3 or 4 times around the back. And you want to twist it tight, but not so tight that you can't move it, because this way you can really shove them in there and get it nice and full. You see here, when I turn it around, you can see that I twist it. I do tuck my pipe cleaners up towards the top of the wreath, like the face of the wreath, just to keep it from being around the back and scratching someone's door. So far I've put 4 in here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections to this frame. And then I'll let you know how many I put in each section so you can have an idea of how many to cut. The only thing that would change on this wreath, if you were doing a larger frame, would be the amount of bundles that you would have to make. So I skipped ahead and looked, and I don't actually put an even amount in each section. I just go around and fill it up. I ended up with about 30 curls, or 30 bundles. The first one, I guess I packed a lot fuller, but as you go around, it kind of all smushes together, so it works out. And I'll explain that again in a second because I'm going to add ribbon. Okay, so for my sign, I took it outside and took a hammer and nail and poked a hole in either end, just, hammering it through. If you have one of those hole punch things, you could use that. I'm just going to use pipe cleaners to attach it, but you could also use wire. And I'm only doing two parts, the top and the bottom, but if you needed more security, you could do the sides as well. Especially if you're using a larger frame, you would probably want more on either side just to keep it to stay in one place. You wouldn't want it to spin or anything. Okay, so this is what the wreath looks like right now. If you look on the bottom right here, I only have 3 curl bundles in that section. That's because I'm going to add ribbon there, and I didn't want it as full as the rest of the wreath. And then to add my sign, I'm just pushing it through to the back, and then I'm going to attach it to the frame at either end. And I am pulling it all the way to the frame because I don't want it to sit on top at all. I want it to be all the way up against it. And I'll take care of all the loose pipe cleaners later. And there I was just checking to make sure that the sign was the way I wanted it to be. Because I'm only putting a few curls on that side, I need to make sure that's the bottom left or the bottom right if you're looking at the wreath, because that's where I'm going to put the ribbon. So I decided to use wired ribbon, of course, but I'm going to use pipe cleaners to attach the ribbon to the wreath. And here I didn't have anything to measure, but I'm just kind of winging it. And I'm cutting about, I think they were 13 or 14 inches, but you could probably get away with 12. All I did was hold the ribbon up to the face, up to the wreath, and saw which part stuck out the way I wanted it to, and then just went through and cut them all the same length. And now I'm just going to dovetail the ends. I just folded in half and cut from the wired part to the crease at an angle. And I'll go through and do that with all the pieces. So I'm only doing one piece of ribbon at a time, but I want the top part to stick out further than the bottom because you'll have no problem seeing the bottom ribbon. The top one's the one that I want to curl up. And then again, I'm taking half a pipe cleaner, folding it in half, and then using that to twist around the center, or not the center, but the part where I creased on the ribbon. And then when I add it, I'm sure to make sure the longest part is sticking up. And then I just twist it around the frame. And I'll go through and do that with all the ribbon until it's filled up the way I like it. And I'm not sure how many pieces I used. I just went until I thought that it was nice and full. And it covered the frame really well. And then you really mess with it for a while. And I'll go through and I trim away some of the pieces that are sticking out. I liked a little bit of the rough lookingness, if that makes sense, because it's the Grinch, but I didn't want it to completely stay that way. So I didn't like how the face was being completely covered up. So I'm pulling the bundles all the way to the edge of the frame. So the way I do that is I just grab it and pull until the bundles are actually on the outside of the wreath now instead of sitting on the top. This just gives more room in the center. You can see there it's just pulling it out. And I'll do that going all the way around. And then fluffing again. I think this would have looked better with a little bit of a smaller face, but it still turned out really cute. Once I'm done fluffing it and I like the way the face looks, I'm going to add the hat. The best way I thought to do this was it came with a stick, so I just pulled the stick out and put hot glue and pushed the pipe cleaners in. I did make sure to let it dry for a very long time before I attached it to the wreath because I really wanted the glue to hold. I got this hat at Hobby Lobby, and I will try my best to link everything below. I usually do that with all of my videos. Sometimes I can't find the exact thing I use because I buy stuff, wherever I can find. I added a lot of hot glue on top and then put like a piece of paper on there just to make it a little extra secure, and then I'm just twisting it around that. Now you will see after I add this that it doesn't hold perfectly with the pipe cleaners. I do end up having to go back and stick some skewers through there. And I just had some skewers from, cooking. I decided to put the hat on the other side, which is the way I should have had it from the beginning. But I attached it, and then when I lifted up the wreath, the hat was falling over, and that's when I attached the, used the skewers. Be careful with these because they will poke through and they will poke you. I'm feeding it through the frame and then into the actual hat, and then I'm breaking it off when I feel resistance because I didn't want to push it all the way through. And I will go through and cover up the tips of that wood so it doesn't scratch anything. And you can use your scissors if it won't tear easily. I just put them in there until I felt that they were secure, and then I'm just wrapping my pipe cleaner around the tip of it just to keep the pointy part away. I'll go back through and trim away that little piece of wood that was sticking out, but that's it. That's how I made my Grinch face wreath. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can always email me at craftingwithlee@yahoo.com. Thank y'all so much for watching, and if y'all learned anything today or like my video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.